Donald Trump is panicking as Iran has rejected his ceasefire offer. Donald Trump apparently only prepared for a 4 to 5 day war against Iran, and he assumed that if the United States were to kill the Ayatollah Khomeini, that Iran would immediately want a ceasefire and that Donald Trump would be able to declare a victory and that war would not spread throughout the region. Donald Trump was warned that his personal views that that's what would take place were wrong, and he was indeed wrong. Hat tip to Ynet. They were the first to report, and they're based out of Israel, that Donald Trump is now begging Iran for a ceasefire, and Iran immediately rejected it and said when there will not be a ceasefire will be on our terms. And now one of the major issues the United States is facing is, will we be running out of munitions? Do we have the capabilities for a long-term war if this drags out for many, many months? And in addition, we've learned some horrific news this morning that a number of our soldiers, a number of U.S. service members have indeed been killed in action during the war already. We've learned that there have been, so far, 3 U.S. service members killed in action. 5 have been seriously wounded so far during Operation Epic Fury, is what the Trump regime is calling it. We're referring to it at the MeidasTouch Network as Operation Epstein Fury, or the Jeffrey Epstein War. The U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, announced the deaths of these 3 U.S. service members. 5 are seriously wounded. We're following that. We're expecting, sadly, the number of deaths to increase. These casualties, as Open Source Intelligence Defender also notes, these casualties are likely the result of Iranian ballistic missiles and one-way attack drones that have been striking U.S. bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates, with some bases suffering much more serious damage than had been previously reported or announced by CENTCOM. Indeed, our government is giving false information saying that the attacks have not been serious against our bases, only for us to learn later that they are indeed very, very serious. And now our service members have been killed, and Donald Trump has blood on his hands, and this whole regime in the United States has blood on their hands. Iranian's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, he is alive, and he's stating this morning on state-run television that the Interim Leadership Council is now operational and has assumed constitutional control of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Pezeshkian adds that we will continue the path of the leader with strength. Our armed forces are crushing the bases of enemies. No sign by Iran that they will be stopping their retaliatory actions against U.S. bases and U.S. interests within the Middle East anytime soon. In fact, here's a statement that just came out from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They state that the 7th and 8th waves of what they're referring to as Operation True Promise are underway, targeting U.S. bases across the region. The IRGC claims that the Ali al-Salam Air Base in Kuwait has been completely disabled. They're claiming the number is 560 dead and wounded when it comes to Americans, with U.S. Central Command putting that number far less. And I do think that Iran exaggerates, but I also know that our government, the Trump regime, lies about everything. So we're going to be paying close attention to that. But the retaliation by Iran has indeed been fierce. In the central Jerusalem or central Israel area, in a city called Beit Shemesh, there were at least 6 individuals killed in this central Israel area. 14 people are still missing. We expect that the death toll will be rising there with ballistic missile and other strikes by the Iranian regime. We are seeing more Iranian strikes in Bahrain. Also, an Iranian Shahed drone hit a French naval base in Abu Dhabi. We can show the video of that right here. Multiple explosions have been seen, and impacts from Iranian drones and ballistic missiles were reported at the Zayed port, a commercial deep water port that serves Abu Dhabi within the United Arab Emirates. You can see here Iranian reports stated that a drone struck a UAE oil platform in the Persian Gulf, and it does appear that this oil platform in the Persian Gulf has indeed been hit. And we've been seeing this in Doha. We've been seeing this in Bahrain. We've been seeing in Doha's in Qatar. We've been seeing this in UAE, in all of the kind of neighboring countries. An update on the Strait of Hormuz. Remember, this is where 20 to 25% of the liquefied natural gas, like our oil supply, traverses through the Strait of Hormuz. It's a narrow strait off of Iran. Well, the Strait of Hormuz now is at a standstill as Iran has apparently begun firing on all of the oil tankers that are near it. There's huge congestion on either side. And we will see what goes down there. Reuters is confirming as well that at least 150 tankers, including crude and LNG vessels, dropped anchor in open Gulf waters beyond the Strait of Hormuz, and dozens more were stationary on the other side of the choke point, shipping data showed after U.S. and Israel strikes on Iran. I'll just show you what's going on in Iran. I showed videos about this morning as well. But throughout Iran right now, in their city centers and city squares, you have a lot of Iranians coming out calling for revenge after the death of Ayatollah Khomeini. You've heard a lot of people in Iran are saying death to America. You hear chants like that. Just look at this scene, even in Yemen, for example, because one of the things to note about the Ayatollah is that the reach and influence was beyond Iran. This is why it was so foolish for Donald Trump to believe if you just kill the Ayatollah, you're going to disable the Iranian regime. You're going to get a new, more extreme Ayatollah, is what the CIA warned Donald Trump and what we've been talking about here. And we've been seeing America consulates and embassies across the Middle East now being attacked. And we also saw a number of agencies, intelligence agencies across the world representing Western countries, including here in the United States, warning against terrorist attacks and Iran activating terrorist cells. One of the things we are looking at right now, and our heart goes out, of course, to all of the people who died in that tragic shooting in Austin, Texas, at a bar there that took place at like 2 a.m. in the morning. Apparently, it was someone who was here from Senegal, and the FBI right now has activated its counterterrorism task force. I think there's a few individuals who died, multiple people who were injured at the shooting here in the United States, and that's being investigated perhaps as an act of terrorism, although more information is needed before I could report further on that. But here is just to show you what looks like the scenes in Iran right now. This is Iranians calling for revenge after Khomeini's death. Here, play this clip. Yeah, FBI officials are indeed confirming in a news conference that there were indications of a potential nexus to terrorism in this Austin mass shooting that has left 3 dead, 14 injured. It is being investigated as an act of terrorism as well. If Iran is prepared to bomb the Gulf states, it is also prepared to activate sleeper cells. Many people are, of course, acknowledging that reality. But we'll give you more information on Austin when that becomes available. A reminder of what took place in Karachi, in Pakistan, where the United States has a consulate there, where the locals were protesting and storming the U.S. consulate Many people were killed. The people who were protesting as government forces shot at them. About 6 individuals, I believe, or so were killed there. But just play the clip so you can see the sign outside of that consulate. Let's play it. Also, we have to focus on a lot of things that are happening in this region. For example, Israel has been closing its crossings into Gaza Strip, including for humanitarian aid workers. This is happening. You know, we knew every time Donald Trump was saying, oh, there's a ceasefire and things are great right now in Israel and Gaza. I'm like, absolutely not. There are hundreds and hundreds of people who are still being killed in Gaza. There was never actually a ceasefire there. Donald Trump does these fake ceasefires, and it makes the world far more dangerous as a result. But if you look over here about the story of how Israel is closing crossings into Gaza Strip, including for all humanitarian aid into Gaza, very little right-wing media is covering this. This is almost exclusively being covered on the left wing and on center, so-called center media. We need good media diet right now. Right now, it is so critical. I'll just give you an example as well. Over 260 outlets reported on this story. Woman killed by ICE in Minneapolis, identified as Renee Nicole Good, but sorting through the amount of coverage has been a nightmare because depending on which outlet I was looking at, I get a completely different version of events. That's exactly why we partnered with Ground News. I mean, look at the story that I've been sharing with you right now. If you watch the right-wing media about what's going on in the Middle East, I'll show you in a moment, they'll be like, oh, Donald Trump's a hero. This is what everybody wants. And it's like, no, we don't in the United States. We don't want regime change wars. If you're going to do a regime change war, you got to tell us about it. That's why I get my news from Ground News. People are like, where do you do your research? Ground News. And that's what I do for this episode because they're the best tool for me to stay objective with my reporting. Ground News is an app and a website that pulls in thousands of articles from around the world and organizes them by story to show you how the left, center, and right are framing the story differently. For every story, the color-coded layout makes it easy to see the political bias of each source. I can filter for high factuality sources and see what sources are independently owned or owned by a large media conglomerate with corporate interest. This lets you compare reporting on the same issues in one place, so you can come to your own conclusions based on all of the facts. On this article, for example, Ground News quickly showed me that out of the 260 articles reporting, only 17% of them are right-leaning, meaning if you tend to read right-leaning news, you may have missed the story completely. Yeah, you probably are missing that story completely, which is why Ground News even has a dedicated blind spot feed, a personal favorite of mine, which highlights stories being disproportionately covered on either side of the political aisle to help burst through echo chambers. Because I believe in Ground News so much, we at the MeidasTouch Network will be offering you 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use for my research, the type of research I do for this video. Just go click the link in the description or go to ground.news/MTN or scan the QR code up here. It's one of the biggest discounts they've ever offered. If you want to support this channel and get a clearer understanding of the world, try out Ground News. Also, I mean, look at this right here. You want to know why you need to try it out as well? Look at what our Department of Education building, or at this point, it's a department that destroys education. They have banners of Charlie Kirk on the Department of Education building. So it's miseducation. It's all about propaganda and lies. And I'm going to show you the propaganda machine now in action, as I promised you I would moments ago. So what's Donald Trump saying right now? With all of the facts that we know, with Donald Trump begging for a deal, begging for a ceasefire, now it's not going as planned, Donald. Donald says, Iran, they could have made a deal. They should have done it sooner. They played it too cute. Why were they playing it too cute? That was a direct quote from Donald Trump by The Atlantic, that Iran played it too cute. Everybody, we just lost 3 service members, 5 have been seriously wounded, and that number is expected to increase significantly. Oh, because Iran played it too cute. Is that what you're going to say as American flag draped coffins come back to the United States? Iran played it too cute, so we need to do regime change. The hell is going on there? Also, speaking this morning with Fox News, Donald Trump said that the U.S. knows how many targets are left in Iran and that they are progressing toward Iranian people taking control of their destiny. It's moving along. It's moving rapidly. Nobody can believe the success we're having. Nobody can believe it. Nobody can believe the success. I can't believe we're winning this much. This guy is a con artist. This guy is a lifelong fraud. He is a lifelong loser. And if you want to know why Donald Trump has bankrupted most of the things he's touched, if you want to know why his social media platform only made $3 million in revenue and lost $720 million in revenue last year, it's because he is a complete loser. He is a predator. He is a felon. He is a sexual predator. He is a fraud. He is a con artist. This is all he has done his entire life. Get it through your head that this is a bad, bad human being who surrounds himself with other losers and scumbags. Speaking of which, here's Lindsey Graham making his rounds on the various media networks this morning, and he's asked, well, does the president have a plan to guarantee that Iran will no longer do the things you say they're doing? And Lindsey Graham goes, that's not his job to have a plan. Why would he have a plan? Here, play this clip.
Moving forward, in a social media post Sunday, President Trump wrote this, quote, hopefully the IRGC and police will peacefully merge with the Iranian patriots and work together as a unit to bring back the country to the greatness it deserves. Is hope the plan for the future of Iran?
No, the future of Iran is going to be determined by the Iranian people. The new Iran, whatever it is, whether it's a cleric or a representative democracy, our goal is to make sure it cannot become, again, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. That's a win for us.
But is there a plan to make sure that happens, Senator? Is there a plan? Does the president have a plan to guarantee that that happens?
No, it's not his job or my job to do this. How many times do I have to tell you? Our job is to make sure Iran is no longer the largest state sponsor of terrorism, to help the people reconstruct a new government, no boots on the ground. We don't own, you know this idea, you break it, you own it? I don't buy that one bit. It's in America's interest to make sure the Ayatollah is dead. He's dead.
More from Lindsey Graham right here when he's asked, so is the United States, we're officially at war, confirmed? He goes, the Ayatollah would say so. Let's play this clip.
Senator, let me start with the big question. Is the United States at war with Iran?
I think the Ayatollah would say, yeah. I don't know if this is technically a war, but here's what I can say the headline is for me Sunday. The mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead.
More from these MAGA Republicans. Tom Cotton, who is one of the people he leads the Intelligence Committee. He's not intelligent at all. He is asked, do you believe the American public is owed something more than just Donald Trump making a Twitter video after we've gone to war? Like, I don't know, maybe going to Congress and getting authorization as the Constitution requires. But these MAGA Republicans, they are fascist enablers. Here's what Tom Cotton says. Play this clip.
According to CBS polling, 74% of Americans said that Trump would need approval from Congress for military action against Iran. He did not seek that. If this operation takes weeks, which is how you described it, do you believe the administration has effectively made its case to the American public to expect casualties, to support this action?
Well, Margaret, I thought the president's 8-minute video yesterday was outstanding. It laid out Iran's 47-year campaign of terror and revolutionary violence against the United States and our people and really the civilized world. I'm sure the president will speak more in the coming days.
47 years. He did not describe imminence or justify that in that video. Do you believe that the American public is owed something more than a Twitter video?
Well, Margaret, I think an 8-minute address to the American people, whether the president posted on social media or whether it happens on your network, is in keeping with presidential custom of addressing the American people. Again, I'm sure that he's going to be speaking more in coming days. The administration will be briefing Congress, and we're going to have a vote in the Congress. The Democrats are forcing a vote. I expect there'll be overwhelming Republican support for our troops, for our troops, and for the president's decision to finally eliminate the threat of Iran.
Or how about MAGA Republican Congress member Mike Turner, who used to pretend that he's a moderate? They aren't. They are fascist enablers. This is who they are. This is why our country is where it is, because of these scumbags. Here, play this clip.
Inventory, they had continued, as had been declared, to pursue their intention of nuclear enrichment. They had continued.
Rubio said they weren't enriching.
They had continued their intention to pursue nuclear enrichment. They had said and declared that they were going to do that. Their programs had not been completely abolished, and their intention had not been abolished. They remained a threat, and the fact that we had the ability to intervene, that imminence is incredibly important.
More from Tom Cotton right here.
A key part of President Trump's campaign, and it included it in his inaugural address, was no more wars. And there are a number of Republicans who think that this is the opposite of what they voted for, that the president is breaking that promise. Tucker Carlson told ABC the president's decision to strike Iran is, quote, absolutely disgusting and evil. What do you say to members of the MAGA base who say this is not what we voted for?
Well, Dana, I've been on the campaign trail all across Arkansas for the last 2 days, visiting with hundreds of Republicans. I haven't heard a single Arkansan express anything but unqualified support for President Trump and for his decision to finally put America's foot down and end 47 years of terror and revolutionary violence by the Islamic Republic against the United States and our citizens. And I suspect you'll see overwhelming support from elected Republicans in the Congress who are answerable to our voters in places like Arkansas and states all across the country when we're back in the Capitol later this week.
Senator Tom Cotton.
Now I want to hear from Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, at least some refreshing, candid, real talk right here. It's why I'm a big fan of Democratic Senator Chris Murphy. Here, play this clip.
Nobody in this country is asking for war with Iran, just like months ago, no one in this country was asking for war with Venezuela. This president is intentionally tanking our economy. He's the most corrupt president in the history of our nation, and Americans want him to focus on the crises here at home. Instead, he is busy getting us involved in quagmires overseas that already are becoming deadly to American soldiers. This is a disaster. It is illegal. And the president is obligated under the Constitution to come to Congress and ask for an authorization of military force. He wouldn't get that authorization if he asked for it. Congress wouldn't vote to give him the permission to do it, but he's obligated to come to Congress.
The administration.
And there you have it right there from Democratic Senator Chris Murphy. Thanks everybody for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.